Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I really appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Greatly appreciated, so thank you in advance. So we made it to 200 episodes, and I'm really proud and happy to say that we did that. We still got a little ways to go, but you know, it's a good feeling. So I needed to celebrate with a fighting game. Gotta go to a Dreamcast fighting game. Gotta go with one of the most influential and most memorable games ever. On multiple different platforms, but specifically talking about the Dreamcast, Marvel vs. Capcom. Now we got to stick with the first one just because we need to, before we get to the second one, we got to make sure people understand how big of a deal this one was. Okay, did not have the same lasting effect as 2 because we got a sequel shortly after, but you got to understand when this game hit, this is after Children of the Atom, this is after X-Men versus Street Fighter, this is after Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, right? This is after Marvel Superheroes. Like, all of those games lead up to the official Marvel versus Capcom. That means anybody can get it, right? The roster is crazy. Chun-Li, Ryu, Zangief, Morgan, Captain Commando, who was brand new, Mega Man, who hadn't been in nothing like this, Strider, Spider-Man, Jin, Captain America, Venom, Hulk, Gambit, War Machine for some reason, not Iron Man, even though if you press certain ones, he shoots beams instead of missiles, and Wolverine. And then you have this, you know, the secret characters like Shadow Lady, Carnage, was a US agent, all of that good stuff, right? But then you have the assists, which were very different than what eventually became in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? You have the standard, you know, each person, random character. If you know the little commands, you can get whoever you want. But you have these different assist characters, and depending on which one it is, some of them have more assists than others because some of them are the Juggernaut and Colossus, and then some of them are Pure and Fur. But, you know, there's just a lot of things that's going on. This game, whether it was on the Dreamcast itself, at the arcade, on an arcade emulator years later, just such an important moment, such a great game. You know, we get certain things like Ryu, who is technically 3 people because he can turn into Ken, he can turn into Akuma. I always turn into Akuma because, you know, why wouldn't you? He's the best Shoto, especially in these games. You know, these games solidify he's the best one. But if you want to do the dirty feet, you can turn into Ken. You know, this is where, you know, the beam's starting to be, you know, a little bit overwhelming, right? We had, you know, him doing the Sunday's best out here, proton cannon it, even though he's War Machine and not Iron Man, but that's okay. You know, it's fine. All of this is fine. But this game is legendary for, I mean, even the boss of this game, right? Onslaught, like one of the greatest end bosses for a crossover game. Kind of set the bar too high in my opinion, because then they start trying to do stuff like, you know, whatever the boss is supposed to be on 2. I have no idea what's going on with that thing. But like Onslaught just seemed like it was like the perfect next level after going from, you know, Magneto to Thanos to Apocalypse to Cyber Akuma. You know, Onslaught was the next level of that type of like lineage and crossover villain, right? And then just all the different ways the characters play different, you know, this is where you start to see the variety just being like Capcom is in not so many words in their bag, right? This is where they figure everything out. You get the best of the best. It's not too crazy, but yeah, there's some crazy stuff in the game. And I don't know. I've always had an affinity for this game. I know people, obviously, if you have the option of playing 2, you just jump in and play 2, right? I get it. But this game has a certain level of charm that I think that sometimes gets forgotten. And I always feel like, obviously it didn't have the long lasting impact as 2, but for me, it was the signal. And plus I didn't have access to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for a while. So having access to this one was like my bread and butter. This is what I was rocking for a hot skip and a jump. Now, as far as favorite characters, I mean, again, the selection isn't as big, but it's also like quality over quantity. Like, I don't think there's a character where I'm like, nah, I don't really rock with that character. Like, everybody's good, you know, and that's something that, as much as I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I don't think that there is that same level of balance in all of the characters in Marvel 2 as it is in Marvel 1. But I've really enjoyed every time I play this game. I'm like, yep, still great, still love it, still. I use this phrase, and I don't mean it in literal sense, but these games in this series of games are perfect to me. I don't have a problem with anything about them. I get the flaws that they technically have, but I mean, it is what it is. You're gonna take it or leave it. So for me, another perfect Marvel crossover game, Capcom, whatever you want to call it in this series, but I am 100% here for it, and needed to celebrate that for number 200. So love to hear your favorite teams, favorite memories, everything that you remember about this game. And if you haven't played this game and you like fighting games, you're wasting your time by not playing it. Don't listen to people. If they say it's broken, it's in a good way. Go play it immediately. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game and this series as a whole. I appreciate you taking out time to let me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.